So send in the clowns? Well, according to the Washington Post, Dana Milbank, for Republicans, they might already be here. Calling the crowded GOP presidential field a clown car. It sounds a lot like early press reports of the Democratic field heading into the 1992 election. Bill Clinton, of course, that time got the last laugh. Larry Sabato says, be careful who you laugh at now. Larry, good to have you. You know, I always say, and you and I discussed this many times, history is like a snapshot any day. Once snapped, the picture's shot, and you can't use it much longer. But that is the image of this Republican field. Do you think it's a fair one?
Well, of course not. There are very few things that are fair in politics, Neil, and certainly this is an example of it. Look, if you're a Democratic partisan, this is like Christmas every day, because you've got 20 actual or potential candidates out there campaigning and talking to the press. They take questions, unlike Hillary Clinton. And so there are opportunities to say off-key things, let's put it that way, on a daily basis. And so if you only want to focus on those off-key things, then it may look like a clown car. But as I look at the field of candidates, I see an awful lot of very experienced governors, senators, people who've held high positions. You can agree or disagree with their positions, but you certainly are not being fair if you call them clowns.
You know, it's a disservice to clowns, too, by the way. But I also wonder, Larry, what happens after this whole nominating process is done on the Democrat side and the Republican side. We're going to have one nominee in each party, and then the battle is joined, and that's when it really counts. And then what do you look for?
Well, at that point, you need to remember the party ID, the partisan identification, will determine about 90% of the votes, literally. I mean, they're just locked in no matter what people say during primaries. Oh, I'm so angry that my candidate isn't winning. There's no way I'm going to support that other guy over there as the nominee. By November, the vast majority of them will be supporting that guy.
Yeah, but a lot of them do stay home,
ID,
right? A lot of them do stay home, right?
You know, objects in motion tend to remain in motion. People who are used to voting and usually vote almost always vote. Now, objects at rest usually remain at rest, but we've had much better success in recent years at getting some of those resting bodies to the polls, for better or worse. So, you know, I would say President Obama's popularity or unpopularity in 2016 is going to be absolutely critical. Whether we're in a hot war and how that hot war is going, whether there are any prominent scandals. I don't know why I'd bring that up. Why would I bring up the word scandal?
Yeah, but what the heck, right?
These are the key things. They're the big North Stars in politics.
But I think a lot of times, and you've spoken about it as well, is we focus on polls or, you know, a lot of these Hillary Clinton versus any one of the Republican candidates, announced or unannounced. She does well, much as George Bush Sr. did very well in 1992, the aftermath of the Kuwait war. And then he wasn't doing well. And then all of a sudden, those seven dwarfs who were challenging him at the time, where Bill Clinton emerged, everything changed, you know?
Yeah, and look, polls, especially at this point, they're like sandcastles on the seashore, Neil. And, you know, you put those sandcastles together frequently. You know how quickly they're washed away by one big wave. And that's what happens as we get into the final stages of the campaign, you know, 540-some days away from now. That's when we'll really get serious.
Now, I was on the seashore, Larry, but sandcastle building was not what I was doing. But it's always good seeing you, my friend. You might have a future in this whole political stuff. Go with it, you know, just go with it.
I'm going to look into it, and I appreciate your endorsement, Neil.
Professor, thank you very, very much. Well, if the president doesn't want these guys arresting illegals, surely these guys can, right? Guess again.